This will be a quick introduction to Snap. Start by going to snap.berkeley.edu in your browser, and if you haven't already, create an account by entering your username and password from your Emma login information. I already have an account, so I'm just going to sign in, and it will run Snap. So I'll click on this box up here. So this is a place where you're going to write programs to control this cursor. This cursor lives in a world that is 480 pixels across and 360 pixels up and down, and you can move around in this world. So I just drag a command. There are lots of different commands to choose from. I'm going to the motion. I'm going to drag this command out to this table, to this area right here, and let's move 100 steps. So I typed in 100 there, and now if I click on it, it just moved the cursor 100 steps. Let's now go to pen. Next time, what I'm going to do is if I click pen down, now it'll put a pen on the paper, and when I move, it'll leave a trace. So it's actually drawing as I go. Let me get a couple more commands on there to move the cursor back to the center. So that's going to move it to 0, 0. I'll make it so that we're going to be turning this cursor, and so I'll make it so it's always going to be pointing east, which is pointing towards 90 degrees, this direction. And then I'll make it so that it clears the screen. So when I click on this, it will bring the cursor back, point in the right direction, and clear the image. So there we go. So that's a good way to refresh the screen. So let's do a little bit more fancy program. The pen is down. When we move now, let's have it move and then turn 90 degrees. And if I click on that, let's make that do that 4 times. Instead of watching me typing this 4 times, I can just drag this here and connect. By the way, if you want to change the program, you can drag down and pull things apart. If you want to delete a step, you can delete it, and you can connect things up again. So I'm going to move 100 steps, turn 90 degrees, and I'll do that a couple more times. Move, turn, move, turn. And can you predict what this program is going to do? Let's click on it and see. Yeah, it draws a square. Actually, it drew it really fast, so we didn't get to see it move. I'm going to turn this on, which will slow it down. It'll show the individual steps. And I'll actually not even make it go very fast. I'll make it go kind of slow so we can watch it happen. This will be helpful for us to figure out what it's doing. Let me clear that and do it and run it one more time. So it moves, turns, and does that 4 times, makes a square. This is silly. I don't want to have to retype things over and over again. Let's make it so it repeats these things 4 times without having to type in the commands over and over again. The nice thing about this is that, let's say I didn't want to make a square this big, I would have to change the number 100 many different places. Here, I'd only have to change the number 100 once. So let me clear the screen. And this will do these steps 4 times, and it should do the same thing we just did, draw a square. Great. I don't need these commands anymore. I'll get rid of them. Let's change this now. So instead of moving and then turning and moving, let's have it move, go backwards, and then turn and go. So this is going to keep on turning. It's going to draw a plus sign. So let me clear the screen, and I'll add a new move statement in between. And by the way, you can see the line is going to show where it goes. And I'm going to move negative 100 steps. Let me get that negative back in there. So now when it goes forward, it'll go back, and then it'll turn and do this 4 times. Okay, let's change the program. Instead of doing 4 points on this pinwheel, let's do 5. Well, let's do 3. That might be easier to think about. Now instead of turning in 90 degrees, so instead of turning 90 degrees, if I only want 3 of these, I want to go more than 90 I want to go 120 degrees. So let's clear this and turn 120 degrees and see if that makes 3 points in our pinwheel. Awesome. Now let's make it do 5. But instead of having to do this calculation every time, let's use an operations. And the way I got 120 is I divided 360 by the number of turns, which in this case I'll put a 5 in there. So now it'll do this. It'll calculate how far to turn. I'll have to divide this into 5 pieces, and it should make 5 different points. Let's clear the screen and repeat 5 times. Okay, this is handy, and we're going to make this so that we can use these commands over and over again by making our own custom command, and it's called making a block. So I'm going to click on, and it makes a block in one of these. I'm going to make my block in motion. So I'm going to make a block. I'm going to call it pinwheel. And it's a command block. And I'm just going to drag these commands into here. And now, every time I run pinwheel, it'll run these commands. So let's drag the pinwheel block here, clear the screen, and it's going to draw a pinwheel. My speed is, oh, the block went really fast. Okay, so let's edit this. I'll right-click. Well, I could probably right-click here too, and edit the block. Instead of being only making a pinwheel with 5 points every time, I'm going to hit this plus sign, and I'm going to give it a parameter. I'll just call it n, the number of points on the pinwheel, and I'll give it another parameter, which will be the size of it. Instead of being stuck on 100, it will come back, it'll use these numbers. Okay, so instead of just 5, I'm going to drag the n down there, so it'll repeat it n times, and it'll take 360 divided by n. And instead of the size, I'll have this size. And here, I'll probably need to do, oh, you know what? I can't move size. I'll need to do another calculation so I can multiply it by -1, and I'll put that in there instead. So I'll take size times -1. Okay, that should work. Now I can make, let's say, a 7-pointed pinwheel, and I'll make it only 50 pixels wide. And I'll clear the screen, and it made it. So now we can make a program with many different pinwheels using this custom block. Before we leave, we should save our file. So let's go to Save, and we'll call this pinwheel, and we'll save the file onto the cloud. Great.